The next time you remember something, really remember it, notice how solid it feels. There's a texture to it, a specific quality of certainty. The sense that you're not constructing anything, you're retrieving, like pulling a file, like pressing play. That feeling is real. The memory it's attached to, however, may not be. Here's what neuroscience found. Memory doesn't work like a recording. It never did. Every time you've ever remembered something, you haven't been playing back a file. You've been rebuilding it from scratch, from fragments, from whatever pieces your brain decided were worth keeping, and from other pieces it manufactured to fill the gaps. The manufactured ones feel exactly like the real ones. You cannot tell them apart, and the answer to why this happens, and what it means for who you think you are, changes everything we know about identity, about relationships, and about the stories we've told ourselves for years. The assumption almost everyone carries about memory is this: your brain works like a camera. The moment happens, the brain captures it. The file sits in storage somewhere. And when you remember, you press play. You access the original, clean, reliable, the past preserved intact, waiting to be retrieved whenever you need it. That model is completely wrong. Memory isn't storage, it's reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain reassembles it from fragments, pulling from different neural networks, filling in gaps with what it expects should be there, shaped by everything you felt, learned, and experienced since the original moment. The memory you access today is not the same version you formed years ago. It's been altered by every conversation you've had about it, every time you retold the story, every feeling you've since associated with the person involved. And here's the part that changes everything. Those reconstructed pieces feel identical to the real ones. You cannot tell them apart. Not because you're damaged, not because something went wrong, because this is how every human brain on the planet works, without exception. And the research that proved it is one of the most important, and most deliberately ignored, findings in the history of psychology. In the early 1970s, a young cognitive psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus at the University of Washington began asking a question that most of her colleagues thought was settled. The question was, how accurate are eyewitness memories? The legal system had assumed they were reliable. Courts built convictions around them. Loftus suspected something was off. She spent 50 years proving it. She showed participants a short video of a car accident. Simple, clear, unambiguous. 2 cars, a collision, a stop sign. Then she asked them questions. For one group, the question was, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? For another group, she changed exactly one word. How fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? The smashed group consistently reported higher speeds. And when asked a week later whether they'd seen broken glass in the video, the smashed group said yes. There was no broken glass. One word, slipped into a question asked 20 minutes after the event, had rewritten what participants believed they witnessed with their own eyes. Not nudged, not biased. Rewritten. The memory had been quietly overwritten, and the participants had no awareness of it at all. But Loftus wasn't done. She wanted to know if you could plant a memory that never happened at all. She gave participants written summaries of their own childhoods, compiled with help from their families, 3 true events, and 1 that never happened. Getting lost in a shopping mall at age 5. Fabricated, completely made up, never occurred. Within weeks, 25% of participants not only said they remembered it, they elaborated, they added details, the color of the jacket they were wearing, the name of the store, the feeling in their chest, the face of the stranger who helped them. The memory had become experientially real, emotionally resonant, felt as true as any actual childhood moment, a quarter of ordinary people, given nothing but a written suggestion. But here's what's even more unsettling. That was implanted memory, something that never existed. What Loftus was studying from the outside. What Kareem Nader discovered in 2000 is what happens to memories you actually have, and it might be harder to sit with. Kareem Nader was a neuroscientist working at New York University who spent years studying how memories are physically stored. He was working from a 100-year-old assumption that once a memory is formed and consolidated, it becomes stable, fixed. like a scar. In 2000, he found out that assumption was wrong. Every time you retrieve a memory, you don't just access it, you destabilize it. When a memory is recalled, it re-enters what scientists call a label state, a vulnerable window. And in that window, before it reconsolidates, it can be altered. New emotions bleed in, new context, new information you've picked up since the original moment, new beliefs about the people involved. All of it gets woven into the file before it closes again. Then the memory reconsolidates. It feels stable, it feels certain, it feels exactly as solid as it did before, but it's a different file. Every time you remember something, you slightly alter it, and the more you remember it, the further it drifts from whatever originally happened. Your most vivid memories, the ones you've told as stories for years, the ones that feel most like yours, those are the ones you've accessed most often, which means those are the ones that have changed the most. The memories you'd stake your identity on are the memories most contaminated by the act of remembering them. Seriously. Let that land for a moment, but here's where this stops being abstract. Think about the last significant argument you had with someone close to you. You both remembered it differently, not slightly, substantially. One of you remembered words being spoken that the other insists never left their mouth. One of you heard hostility, the other heard reasonableness. One of you remembers who started it, the other remembers a completely different sequence. Both of you were certain, both of you were right, according to the version your brain had rebuilt and stored, the one that had been quietly reshaping itself every time you returned to it in the weeks since. In 2011, the psychologist Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner, put a name to something that explains this completely. He described the experiencing self and the remembering self as two distinct entities operating inside the same person. The experiencing self lives the moment, it's in the room, it feels everything as it's happening. The remembering self writes the story afterward. And the story it writes is shaped not by what happened, but by how it ended, how it felt in retrospect, and what you needed to believe about yourself when you close the file. Two people in the same room, having the same argument, leave with two different remembering selves, two different files, two versions of the truth that each feel like the only truth there is. You don't just remember your life, your brain edits it, continuously, into a story you can live with. So let's be honest about where all of this lands. The argument you've been carrying, the one where you know exactly what was said and how it happened, may be a reconstruction, reshaped each time you return to it, drifted from the original by the weight of everything you felt afterward. The childhood memory that shaped how you see someone in your family, the moment you decided a relationship was a certain kind of thing, may contain details your brain filled in, details that weren't there, colored by who you were when you last remembered it, not by who you were when it happened. The version of yourself you carry in your most vivid self-defining memories, the hero of those moments that mattered, has been edited by every recollection since, told too many times, updated each time, each update feeling like remembering. None of them flagged as changed. This is not a small thing, because memory isn't just how we record the past. Memory is how we construct the self. Every belief you hold about who you are is built on top of memories that have been quietly reconstructed every time you've thought about them. The grievances you carry, the pride you feel, the story that justifies the choices you've made and the person you've become. In 1995, psychologists Henry Roediger and Kathleen McDermott published a landmark study showing that confident, vivid memories could be reliably implanted in people with no awareness anything was being implanted. The most vivid, most certain, most emotionally present memory you have right now could be significantly wrong, and you would have no way to know. So here's the question this leaves you with. If memory isn't a recording, if it's a construction that changes every time you access it, what exactly is your identity built on? Because your sense of self is a story, and that story is assembled from memories, and those memories are reconstructed, partially fabricated, altered by time, emotion, repetition, and need. The people who wronged you, the person you've decided you are, the relationships you've written off and the ones you've held on to. All of it sits on a foundation your brain built and keeps building every single time you remember. We spent our entire lives trusting that foundation, treating it as solid ground, making decisions from it, defining ourselves by it. And the ground has been shifting the whole time, quietly, without telling us, which means one of two things is true. Either the story you've been telling about your life is close enough to reality that the drift doesn't matter, or you've been living inside a version of your past that your brain constructed to protect you, and the original version is something neither of us can access anymore.